Put on a suit. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Okay.
Now you're more fluent.
Accolade, he's got three!
Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
What up? We are in effect. It is Monday. You know what time it is when you see me. We have a lot to talk about today, and we got a little bit of time to do it. So let's get to it, man. Like a lot of y'all, which I think is interesting. You know, when the season ends, right? When the season ends and you know a champion is crowned, people automatically think that the season is over, right? People automatically think that the season is over. Oh, not only is the season not over, this is how we get to the Boston Celtics being the NBA champion. This is how we get to the Denver Nuggets being the NBA champion. This is how we get to that point. Because we got the draft. We got free agency. We got stuff like that. Right? We got stuff like that going on that makes these teams championship level teams. We got moves that happen in the offseason that we got to talk about. We have to. I'm not saying that we should talk about this stuff. We have to talk about this stuff. We have to. But there was something going on not too long ago, over the weekend, that got my attention. And I'm not a big, to be honest with you guys, I am not a big fan of gossip TV and TMZ. I'm not a fan of stuff like that. I've never been. I've never really been like Entertainment Tonight and stuff like that. I've always been a fan of stuff where, you know, it's legit journalism. And let me take that back. I'm not going to say legit journalism. It's authentic. People come with facts. For example, my man Ticket TV. Ticket TV is my man. I know I could go to Ticket, and I know Ticket is not going to give me half the story. I know Ticket ain't going to give me some of the story. I know Ticket is going to give me the story. He ain't going to give me what I think I should hear or what he thinks I should hear. No, he's going to actually give me the story. So I listen to Ticket when Ticket talks. That's my man. But then there's some people who I don't really pay much attention to them. But there are people that I do listen to. Low is my man. When Low is talking, I listen to Low. Low gives legit logic. And not only does Low give legit logic, he backs it up with facts. So when Low talk, I listen to Low. There aren't a lot of people on the internet, even on YouTube in particular, that I actually listen to. Low's one of those guys that I do listen to. Ticket is one of those guys that I do listen to. Even though we've had our spats or whatever, don't let that fool you. But with that being said, we have a situation here. And what I mean when I say we have a situation here, I read over the weekend this article that Tim Habersol talks about Jordan, his 1988 Defensive Player of the Year. It might be in question. I want to start the conversation by saying, and I want to make sure that I'm clear on this. After reading this article, they were cooking the books. If you can't fundamentally agree with that, if we can't come to that agreement that they were cooking the books, you and I cannot have a conversation objectively. We can't. So that's not my issue, though. See, because a lot of people, when they hear that, they automatically think that they was cooking the books. Now this is about Jordan and LeBron. Jordan, his Defensive Player of the Year. It was fabricated. That places him in a different space when you win the Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think about it like that. Even though that stuff is true, you know, winning the Defensive Player of the Year is a big deal. 100% it is. Even though it wasn't that big a deal back then, it really wasn't. It wasn't in 1988. In 1987, being the defensive player of the year wasn't nearly as big a deal as being the league MVP. It wasn't nearly as big a deal as being the finals MVP. It was not as big a deal as being the All-Star game MVP. It wasn't. Not back then, it wasn't. It was not as big a deal. It is today, and the reason why it is today, same reason why the league MVP is what it is. Because these awards, very much like the league MVP, these awards are attached to winning. So because they're attached to winning, it validates them. Marcus Smart wins the defensive player of the year in 2021. Was it? No, I'm sorry. Was it 21 or 22? I think he won the defensive player of the year. But his crew was in the NBA Finals. Right? So Giannis wins the defensive player of the year in 2020. He had the best record in the NBA. He had the best record in the league when he did that. Right? So Draymond Green wins the defensive player of the year in 17. They won the NBA championship that year. The problem with the defensive player of the year award is very much like what's going on with the league MVP. Sometimes the best player doesn't win it. Right? Sometimes the best player doesn't win the league MVP. Sometimes the best player does win the league MVP. For example, this season that just passed, Joker won the league MVP. I think Joker's the best player in the game. There are some people who will argue Giannis. There are some people who will argue Luka. There's some people who will argue Jason Tatum, guys like that. I think Joker's the best player in the game. Rudy Gobert won the defensive player of the year. Do I think that it was warranted? Yes, I do. And the reason why is because where Minnesota was. Minnesota was a game out of first place in the Western Conference. One game. They had the best defense in the league last year. But is Rudy Gobert the best defensive player in the game? I'm not sure he's a better defender than Anthony Davis. I'm not sure about that. So sometimes the best defensive player does win the defensive player of the year. Hakeem Olajuwon won it in 94. Olajuwon's the best. I think Olajuwon's the best defensive player in NBA history. I don't think Olajuwon's what's up, Joe? I don't think Olajuwon's a great defensive player. I think he's the best defensive player in the history of the league. I don't think there's a better defensive player than him. I don't. When he won it in 94, they won the NBA championship that year. Dennis Rodman won the defensive player of the year in 90. They won the NBA championship that year that he won the defensive player of the year. Shaq finished second in defensive player of the year in 2000. I thought to be honest with you, and I was in the minority, I thought he should have won the defensive player of the year that year. They won the NBA championship that year. I mean, I could keep going with this. Mutombo was the defensive player of the year in 2001. They were in the NBA Finals. So this kind of stuff is a big deal. Ben Wallace won the defensive player of the year. They won the NBA championship. Right? They were in the NBA championship. Yes, Joe. I don't think he was better than Bill Russell. I don't think he was better than Dennis Rodman. I think he was better than all of them dudes. Line them all up. Dennis Rodman, Bill Russell, Tim Duncan, Scottie Pippen, David Robinson, Shaq, Jabbar. I think Olajuwon was better than all of them dudes defensively. I don't think that there's a player who played in the NBA on the defensive end who was a better defender than Hakeem Olajuwon. I think he's the best defensive player in NBA history. And you cannot talk me off that hill. I will die on that hill. But anyway, the point that I was making when I brought up the defensive player of the year, sometimes the best defensive player wins it, sometimes he doesn't. Now, Jordan, right? Now, Jordan, when he wins defensive player of the year in 1988, it was predicated, and I remember this because I was around during that time. When Jordan wins the defensive player of the year in 1988, it was predicated on him having 200 steals and 100 blocks in a season. But it goes back to what happened with Russell Westbrook. That's what they predicated it on. Even though he did the same thing the year before that in 87, and he didn't make the All-NBA, he didn't make the All-League defensive team. He did the same thing. Won the Defensive Player of the Year in 88, then did it again in 89. So if you're predicating Jay on being the Defensive Player of the Year off 200 steals and 100 blocks, he should have won the Defensive Player of the Year in 87. He should have won it in 88. And he should have won it in 89. If you predicated it off of that, which, by the way, y'all did the same thing with Russell Westbrook, because that's what happened in 17 when Russell Westbrook was the league MVP. It didn't matter that Russ led the league in scoring that year. I think he led the league in assists that year too, if I'm not mistaken. And if he didn't lead the league in assists, he was right at the top of the league in assists. I think if he didn't lead the league in assists, I think he was second in the league in assists. So that's what, but it was predicated on Russ being the triple-double champ. Like nobody had done that since Oscar Robertson did it 50 years before that. Nobody had done that since Oscar did it. 50 years prior to that. So with that being said, so Harden led the league in assists in 17. So I think Russ was right behind him, if I'm not mistaken. If Russ didn't lead the league, then Harden was then Russ was right next to him. But anyway, with that being said, if that's what it was predicated on, Jay should have won the Defensive Player of the Year 3 straight years. But the problem was they were cooking the books. And what is this about, right? What exactly is this about? See, a lot of people will hear this, that they were cooking the books, and immediately go to the idea that, yo, Jordan was a fraud. I ain't looking at it like that. Because I've seen Jordan play defense. And Jordan was an elite defender. He wasn't a good defender. He wasn't a great defender. He was elite. On the weak side of the basketball, you could get his head turned. And you might be able to take advantage of him when he was off the ball on the weak side. Not necessarily on the strong side, but on the weak side. You could take advantage of him. Because Jordan was a roamer. Jordan had a tendency to lose his man. It actually cost them games in the past. I watched in the 91 season, Jordan loses Brian Shaw. This is the year they won the NBA championship in 1991. He loses Brian Shaw. Brian Shaw sneaks in behind him, gets a rebound, and a putback on a buzzer beater. Game's over. Puts it back, buzzer beater, game's over. You can manipulate Jordan in that aspect for him being a defender off the basketball because he wasn't that good on the weak side. But on ball and on the strong side, Jay was a phenomenal defender. I ain't looking at it like that. I'm looking at it from the aspect that this opens up Pandora's box. And the reason why this opens up Pandora's box is off the strength that it's known that they were cooking the books. So who else was doing it? Who else was doing it? Because remember who these voters are. Remember who these voters are who are voting for league MVP. They voting for Defensive Player of the Year. And I brought this up to a couple of the fellas earlier. If I'm a reporter for the Seattle Gazette in 1988, right? I don't know. I'm a reporter for the Houston Chronicle in 1988. We don't have League Pass. We don't have NBA TV. We don't have ESPN. We don't have TNT. We don't have Fox Sports regional sport. We don't have that. All I have to go off of, more times than not, is the box score. So I don't have access to all of the Chicago Bulls games. I don't have access to them. Plus, on top of that, I'm a reporter for the Houston Chronicle. I'm too busy watching Olajuwon. I'm paying attention to him. So when I open up the paper on Tuesday morning and I see that Jordan had 8 steals last night, I'm like, damn. And mind you, I got an MVP vote. I work for the Boston Globe. I got a Defensive Player of the Year vote. If I have that, all I have to go off of is opening up the paper and seeing, damn, Jordan had 6 steals last night. and 2 blocks. They were in Cleveland, or he was at home and they were playing against Cleveland. This kind of stuff is all I have to go off of. I can't turn on ESPN and I actually get highlights of the game. I can't go to League Pass and watch the game over and go, wait a minute, what about those 8 steals he had last night? Can we go take a look at that? Because we can fact check a lot more of this, right? We could fact check a lot more of this today than we could 35 years ago. Way more. And because we can fact check this more today than we could 35 years ago, you can't screw it up. Now, there are some questionable rules. So, for example, by the letter of the law, a steal, by the letter of the law, if you go look in the NBA rule book, a steal is defined as when a defender knocks the ball away from an opponent. That is constituted as a steal. That's not really a steal. That's a deflection. But the definition is exactly that, right? The definition is exactly that. If you are playing defense, if Luka's playing defense, which he doesn't do very much, but okay, Luka is in front of James Harden, and he's in front of James Harden, and he pokes the ball away from James Harden, and Derrick Jones Jr. picks it up. That's a steal for Luka. That's a steal for Luka. When Luka was covering Rudy Gobert, and Rudy Gobert is backing him down, and he pulls the chair out from under Rudy Gobert and pokes the ball away from him, and PJ Washington picks the ball up. That's a steal for Luka by the letter of the law. Is that really a steal, though? No, that's a deflection. If Aaron Donald is at the line of scrimmage and Aaron Donald tips the ball at the line of scrimmage and Jalen Ramsey picks the ball off, Aaron Donald is not credited with that interception. That's not the way that works. Not at all the way that works. No, it doesn't. So if we're going by the letter of the law, which, if we're being honest, not many things are black and white. There are some things that are gray. And there are some rules that need to change. There's 6 games, according to this article. There's 6 games that were in question. I mean, there's 6 games that they were able to find. Now, for some people, 6 games isn't a large sample size for some people. And I could dig that. I do know that 6 games isn't much. All right, I get that. No doubt about it. 6 games isn't a lot. But to be honest with you, if I saw 6 games, I might not be able to give you a definitive answer, but I can have an idea of what it was. I could definitely do that, right? I could definitely give you a better idea, as opposed to I didn't see any games and all I'm going off of is the box score. And I only was able to watch 3 of them because the 3 that I watched, I was actually getting, for lack of a better term, I was getting pissed off. I was getting pissed off. And Todd Lajuan came in 3rd that year in Defensive Player of the Year in 88. Mark Eaton came in 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year in 88. But I was getting upset because I watched the Nets game, and Jordan, I think he had 10 steals in that game. I only counted 5. But by the letter of the law, right, by the letter of the law, these are constituted as steals, where I watched him poke the ball away and Charles Oakley picked it up. Jordan was credited with that steal. If I know what a steal is, where if I'm in the passing lane and if I tip the ball and I retrieve it, that's a steal. If you standing in front of me and I end up ripping you and I retrieve the basketball, that's a steal. If I poke the ball away and somebody picks it up, that's not a steal on my part. No, it's a deflection. And somebody else benefited from that. No. But like I said, this opens up Pandora's box off the strength that this article, and for some people, they didn't really feel like it was, my man Tone in particular, they didn't feel like it was that objective. I thought it was a lot more objective than people give you credit for. No, he didn't win the Defensive Player of the Year in 95. Mutombo won Defensive Player of the Year in 95. But anyway, I thought it was a lot more objective. That's why I actually enjoyed the read, because it took a deep dive into one, what was going on. Everybody was cooking the books. It wasn't just the Chicago Bulls that were cooking the books. That's why Pandora's box got open. That's exactly why Pandora's box got open, because the statistician, his name was Zucker. And this is what I'm talking about when I talk about objectivity. The statistician for the Vancouver Grizzlies, he was encouraged to cook the books. This is a 19-year-old kid that doesn't really know the job. But what he does know is that he wants to do a good job. And who's he learning this from? Who is he learning this from? He's learning this from people. He's learning this from people who've been doing it for years. The Chicago Bulls statistician is one of the guys who encouraged him to cook the books. He encouraged that. So when I see that, I'm thinking to myself, one, this isn't on Jay. And the reason why this isn't on Jay, off the strength that Jay didn't cook the books. That wasn't Jay. That was other people who cooked the books. So if they cooked the books for Jay, I got to believe they cooked the books for Olajuwon too. I got to believe they cooked the books for David Robinson. I got to believe they cooked the books for Jabbar. There was mention that, and I believe it was Zucker who talked about it. He's the statistician for the Vancouver Grizzlies during the 90s when they had Sharif Abdul-Rahim. He talked about how if a player was standing in front of another player and he shot the ball and it was short and it didn't go out of bounds, they would assume, even without watching, they would assume that the shot was tipped, and they would credit whomever was standing in front of them with a block. That's cooking the books. That's straight cooking the books. Can't do that. No. You can't do that. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about objectivity. Chamberlain and Russell, both of these guys together, combined, they had 26 40 rebound games, 26 of them between the both of them. It's not a coincidence that all 26 of these games were at home. None of those games were on the road where they pulled down 40 boards. None of them. Meanwhile, all of these games were in their building, whether it was in Boston or Philadelphia. So now this claim of what they cook in the books, it's now getting substantiated that, well, maybe these guys were. And now we gotta reevaluate who was doing what. Like, I thought Olajuwon in 89, if you just look at the numbers, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Olajuwon in 89, one, he was right outside the top 5. He was right outside the top 5 in steals. This is a 5-man, by the way. Right outside the top 5 in steals. I think he led the league in rebounding in 89. I think he led the league in blocks that year too, in 89. Led the league in rebounding, led the league in blocks. He was in the top 5. I'm sorry, right outside the top 5. He was 6th that year in steals. He didn't make and he finished, by the way, He finished second in Defensive Player of the Year that year. He didn't make the All-League defensive team. That's never happened in NBA history. Never. Where a guy is top 2 in Defensive Player of the Year and not make the All-League defensive team. That's never happened. Ever. At least to my recollection. Maybe I gotta do some more fact checking. Maybe I have to. And the fact that we now, with this article, I'm not even thinking about Jay being a fraud, because I seen Jay play defense. Jay was an awesome defender. I ain't doing that. I'm not doing that. What I am saying, though, is the fact that Jay had people, and not him specifically, the fact that people were cooking the books for Jay, it makes it look different. It just does, man. It makes it look different. And the fact that it looks different now, it shouldn't negate what Jay was doing. It just shouldn't. But if I let you dudes tell it, he's a fraud. No, I watched Jordan as a defender. Jordan was fantastic as a defender. And because people were cooking the books, that shouldn't negate Jay. Really quick, I got a super chat from Gunny L. Neck. He said, "What up, OG? Thought I'd show love over here. I got a question. Who's the better player, and who would be better if they grew up now? Manu versus Kukoc." Ginobili was better than Kukoc. Kukoc was bigger, but I think Manu Ginobili was better than Kukoc. And he was better in his role than Kukoc. He, as good as Tony Kukoc was at 6'10", Manu Ginobili, I think he was a better transition player. I think he was a better defender. I think he was much as good as Tony Kukoc was for the Bulls. Ginobili was even better for the San Antonio Spurs because his role was expanded. Even though he was a rotation guy, his role was expanded. He didn't come off the bench as a hired gun. No. He did not come off the bench as a hired gun. He came off the bench and he was woven into their system. Kukoc wasn't much of a defender. Kukoc was guys like Scottie Pippen, Jordan, Dennis Rodman. They were able to protect. They were able to protect Tony Kukoc. You have to protect Ginobili. That wasn't going on with him. Ginobili was an all-pro. And if I had to choose between the two of them, I would go with Ginobili. I would definitely go with Ginobili. But again, guys, I don't think that Jay is a fraud. I'm looking at it from a different lens, and I think that this opens up Pandora's box. And I think that now, even though they're not going to do it, we have to go digging deeper into what other people were doing, because it's evident that they were cooking the books. They were clearly cooking the books. Clearly. If you can't agree with that, it's very much, this is what I equate it to, right? I equate it to, you can say whatever you want. OJ is innocent. OJ didn't have nothing to do with that. OJ was framed. You can say whatever you want about that. But the evidence shows that there was blood found at the crime scene. There was only 3 people there. 2 of those people are dead, and one of them was OJ. So you can speculate on anything else you want to, but if we can't fundamentally agree he was there, if we can't fundamentally agree on that, I can't have a conversation with you. That's what I equate it to. You have to at least admit that. Same logic with this whole thing. Same logic with this thing with Jordan. They were cooking the books, and it wasn't just in Chicago. It wasn't just in Chicago. It was going on in other places. And if you can't agree on that, if we can't agree on that, there's no reason for me to have a conversation with you about this. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. So We got free agency coming up in about 9 days, and we got some guys who are on the market. We also got the draft coming up in a couple of days, and there's some people who are high on guys like Reed Shepherd, who, when I watch Reed Shepherd, I see Tyler Hero, to be quite honest with you. And I know that sounds crazy just because he's white. No, I don't. It's not because he's white. He doesn't really, as a top 5 pick. As a top 5 pick, that's a pretty big deal for a top 5 pick. And this is when GMs, right? This is when GMs earn that GM money, because there are guys that people aren't paying attention to. But there are guys that people aren't paying attention to that they should pay attention to. This kid in Akron, Enrique Freeman. I don't know about you dudes, but when a guy leads the conference in rebounding 4 straight years, right? When a guy leads the conference in rebounding 4 straight years, when a guy is all league 4 straight years, and he's a walk-on, okay, the work ethic is not in question. We don't even have to question that. We don't. He averaged 19 and I think almost 13. 19 and 12. That's almost 20 and 10. We don't have to question his motor. We don't have to question his work ethic. And on top of that, he's got an upside with his jump shot. I'm thinking to myself, why isn't this dude higher? Is it because he played in the MAC and he didn't play in the SEC, or he didn't play in the Big East? So there's plenty of great players who didn't play at major Division I colleges. Damian Lillard went to Weber State. The scout for the Portland Trailblazers got on the phone, and I'm speculating here, but I would have to believe that this was going on. The scout for the Portland Trailblazers got on the telephone with an executive with the Trailblazers and said, yo, I think I found our point guard. Really? Where is he? He's in Utah. At the University of Utah? No. He's at Weber State. Really? Yes. His name is Damian Lillard. Not too many people are talking about him. There aren't many people talking about him. But I think I found our point guard. That's GMing. Listening to your people and doing your homework. Doing your homework. The head scout for the Chicago Bulls picks up the telephone and calls up Jerry Krause and goes, yo, I'm down here in Virginia. I'm down here in Virginia at the Invitational with all of these seniors, and there's a guy that you need to see. His name is Scott Pippen. I think I found our small forward for the next 10 years. Nobody talking about him. I think you need to come down here now, and I think you need to see him. That's GMing right there, because he gets on a plane and he goes down and goes, all right, I see what you're looking at. This kid, Isaiah Stevens, at Colorado State, I think he led the Mountain West in assists. Yeah, I think he led the Mountain West in assists. Well, OG, he's small. He's only 6 foot. I mean, Chris Paul was 6 foot. Trae Young is 6'1". Now, I think that the league is going to be, if I'm being honest with you guys, I think that the league is full of, in the future, and I'm on record saying this, I think that the league is going to be full of a bunch of Wimbies. It's going to be a bunch of 6'11" to 7'4" dudes with a super duper skill set. Nice with the pill, shoot the long ball. But there's still going to be a place in the game for the lead guard. I don't think that Trae Young's and Chris Paul's, I don't think those guys are going to be obsolete. I don't. I don't think those guys are going to become obsolete. And a guy like Isaiah Stevens, who at 6 foot, yeah, he might be small, and there's some people who don't appreciate that he's small. I think that he'll be a bargain. I do. I think that he's going to be something. I think that he could be something that, I think that he could be something that you can work with. So I'm thinking. Interestingly enough, I'm more interested in this draft than I was in the 2003 draft because we already knew about James and Bosh and Carmelo Anthony and Wade. Like we already knew about them dudes. Like I'm more interested in this draft than I was in 1996 because like we already knew about. I saw Steve Nash in the tournament that year. I knew who Ray Allen was and Samaki Walker. I knew who Kerry Kittles was. We already knew it was ballers in this draft. I knew that. That's not news. Who in this draft is Giannis? Right? So in the 13 draft, we didn't know who Giannis was. Rudy Gobert was in that draft. They found him late in the first round. That's GMing. You know, this kid, Dillingham from Kentucky. I think he's 6'1". He ain't that big. They're talking about him going top 5. Would I take him over Isaiah Stevens? It depends on where we are. Darius Garland is 6'1". And 6'1" and 6 foot is this. Now, don't get me wrong. You get exposed as a small guard in the league today. You would, right? You get exposed today as a small guard in the league today. But if you do the other stuff, because it's very much an offensive driven league. That's why guys like Trae Young are who they are. What up, Dan? How you doing, brother? That's why guys like Trae Young are who they are. That's why guys like Darius Garland got a max deal because of the other stuff he does on the offensive side of the basketball. And he would compete on the defensive side of the basketball. Right? He will compete on the defensive side of the basketball. So, with that being said, I am the most interested in the number 4 pick and the number 8 pick from the San Antonio Spurs because how are you guys, right? What are you guys going to do to supplement Wemby? Are you going to get him a distributor? Because that's what he needs more than anything. Sure, I can appreciate a guy who can space, who can stretch the defense and make the game a little bit more wide open for a big like Wemby. I can dig that. Sure. 100% I can dig that. But you know what else I can dig? I can dig a distributor. And when my best player needs that in order to be viable, when my best player doesn't have a guy who can consistently get him the basketball in the space where he needs to get the ball, that's a problem. And I need to fix that. I 100% need to fix that. I like the fact that the San Antonio Spurs are in the market for a distributor. I was pretty big on, I'm not going to say big, but I actually like the idea of Lonzo Ball in San Antonio. My question still to this day is he made of glass? Is Lonzo made of glass? Because if he's healthy enough, right? If he is healthy enough, I think he'd be great for Wemby. Because he's a floor spacer. Not only is he a floor spacer, he can pass. And he will pass. He's a willing passer. And I think Chicago hands him over for a bucket of extra crispy and a 6-pack. For that little bit of money, my question is can he hold up? That's the problem that I'm having with him. He's missed 2 years, 2 seasons. Now, don't get me wrong. Now. I know for a fact that Joel Embiid missed his first 2 years, right? I know that for a fact. Joel Embiid missed his first 2 years. So with Joel Embiid missing his first 2 years, we already knew who Joel Embiid was, right? We already knew that. Yeah, we already knew who Joel Embiid was. We knew he came into the league. Injured, injury prone. We already knew that. That wasn't news. So I'm not surprised about what he's doing right now. I'm not surprised at that. That doesn't surprise me at all. But Lonzo, I'm not sure if he's made of glass or not. I don't know. I got to find out. So putting him with Wemby, we'll see. What up?
What up, chill?
What up?
Like, Lonzo. There's Lonzo in the draft, and I mean, like, the Spurs, they should get
He's
Stephon
in that
Castle
draft.
at 4. Man, he the thing is, like, he's not like a good like playmaker yet, but like he can get you like a decent entry pass after he's good defensively.
Yeah.
Like the Spurs, they need to build their unit defensively, like to
Mhm.
maximize Wemby, man, because like that's how the league's gonna be soon. So like, I
If I
feel
could
like
get Lonzo, in the draft, I'm so straight with that.
yeah, I mean like
100%. If I could get him,
yeah,
in the draft, yes. I'm more willing to get him in the draft than I am to have to pay him. Because the kid that I get in the draft, I could maximize him. Like Lonzo, I'm not sure if he's still made of glass. I don't know if this kid at UConn's made of glass neither. I don't know. But he looks like a playmaker, a distributor. And that's what I need to do with Wemby. I need to get a guy who I'm going to be able to maximize Wemby with. I need to do that.
yeah. Also, I don't really know what to do at number 8. I mean, like they could just like Cody Williams, somebody like that. I Other than league guard, I don't know what they want to build off of. If they want to go bigger or like just like versatile. But like, yeah, I think like Stephon Castle is like the right person. Not no Rob Dillingham, because Rob he like 165 too. 165 at a league guard, man. Every
That's
single
little.
time, like what they do, you look at, bro. Come here, come here.
Yeah, that's little. You're getting
Yeah,
pushed
come here,
around at
come here.
165 pounds. Unless, Allen Iverson wasn't that big, but Allen Iverson was at 165, 170. Allen was a little bit different because Allen had a heart that was this big. I don't know if that's Rob Dillingham. I don't. That I got a question. So, but real quick before you go, Joe, I know your blood pressure up too.
No, bro, it's over, man. I watched the last 3 games, bro. We could not do nothing, bro. Like, it's gonna be hard, but like, if we lose today, I'm done. I'm done. Like, I need a break, bro. 5-year break, bro.
Bro,
But
this
chill,
would be the biggest collapse since 1932. The last time that happened. Goalies didn't wear face masks back then. Just to put that on your mind. And by the way, for them to come back and do this would stamp Connor McDavid as the best player in the game. Even though I already think he's the best player
he
in the
already
game.
is.
And I already think he's the best player in the game. But this would amplify it.
So we're gonna be the Buffalo Bills, bro.
Oh my God. No, you're not.
Back to
I'm
back
not putting that
years.
on you. Joel, I'm not putting that on you. I can't put that on you.
No,
Even
chill.
though y'all
It's
was in
gonna
the
be
Stanley.
back to back years, bro.
Oh my God.
And we're gonna choke again, bro.
I can't put that on you, brother. I won't. I'll talk to you soon, my man. What up?
What's going on? My man said the Buffalo Bills.
Minor, they were up 3-0.
That's a terrible,
They were up 3-0.
terrible comparison.
You think that the Florida Panthers want to see Edmonton back in a building in Game 7?
No.
That's the Golden State Warriors having to see James come back to their building for Game 7. Hell no, we don't want to see him. We do not want to see him in our building in Game 7. No, we don't.
It's funny. I watched the highlights. I'm not gonna say I watched the game, but I watched the highlights of the first 2 games. I was like, oh man, they got them this year. I ain't even gonna worry about it. And I keep seeing 3-0, good deal. They almost got the job done. 3-1, gentleman sweep, good deal.
Oh,
3-2.
Here he come.
Now wait a minute. Now let's take care of business next game. 3-3. Hold up. Are we really about to do this?
I knew when they lost. I knew for a fact when they lost Game 5, they was coming back for Game 7. I just felt like it was. Like, yo, ain't no way after coming back being down 3-0, and we got these dudes back in our building for Game 6. Ain't no way Florida was leaving out of there with a win. Wasn't happening. Hell no. Was not happening. No. But anyway,
Man.
that's something else.
Talk,
What up?
talking about the whole stats and cooking the books. I think at this point, I don't think it was a revelation. I think it was more of a revealing what we all kind of thought. Because I don't know anybody who doesn't cook books. The government cooks books. My job cooks books. The only place that I don't think cooks books is maybe the IRS.
Oh,
Maybe.
they cooking the books too. 100%.
So, so of course, when it comes to stats and how important stats are,
Yep.
and the league has any league, basketball, football, baseball, they have stars, they have teams they want to promote, and a lot of time the statisticians that are working for the teams work for the team. So they know, hey, I'm gonna make sure Jason Tatum, that was Porzingis rebound. Jason Tatum was close enough. I'll give it to Jason. Mike got 6 steals. I'll go ahead and give him another one. It ain't gonna hurt. So I wasn't that surprised by that. It doesn't change my opinion of any players from the past or even in the present, because like you said, watching the games, you see how great players are. Nobody can tell me that Michael Jordan wasn't a great defender. Nobody can tell me that Sidney Moncrief was a great defender. Nobody can tell me that Shaq wasn't a great inside presence. Like, regardless of the stats and the scores, I watched them play, so I know that they were great.
I just think it opens up Pandora's box, Mina. That's what I think it does. I think it opens up Pandora's box more than anything.
When you say that, what do you mean it opens it up?
Well, the reason why I'm saying that is because, well, first of all, you just mentioned it yourself. So it's like OJ telling us he did it. Well, we already knew that. It ain't like you're telling us something different. We knew you did it.
Yeah, it's no revelation.
Right. It ain't no big deal. We already knew you did it. But what you telling us that, okay, well, what else don't we know? What else don't we know?
You doing that. Oh, chill. Don't start pulling back the onion, man.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Don't start pulling back the onion, because all that's gonna do is make you cry. Don't do
that.
I'm
talking about, Mina. That's why when you tell us that Jordan, that when you bring up all of these games, that's why I ain't there. I ain't thinking about Jay here. I'm not. I'm not thinking about Jay here. Because like you just said, I seen Jay as a defender. But now what you're doing is when you do that, now what you're making me ask is, well, were they cooking the books in Houston too? Was Olajuwon? Is that going on? Were they cooking? And how much were they cooking the books for Jabal? How much were they cooking the books for Magic?
For Bird.
Yeah. So now, like you just said, boy, that onion about this big. this ain't one of them small onions. That onion is huge. And now we got to peel this onion back.
No, you don't want to do that, Jill.
I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that, Jill.
You think I want to do that? My hell no, I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that, Jill.
You the one who brought you the one who put these numbers in my face. You the one that told me that, yo, I think your man Jordan is a fraud. And here's how I know this. And the statisticians who work for the Bulls are telling us, not just the statisticians who work for the Bulls, other statisticians telling us we were cooking the books. This isn't good. This is opening up Pandora's box. I don't like it, Mina. I don't like it at all.
But you know it's going across all the boards. Like I said, it shouldn't be one of those things where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe we've lost the sanctity of the record books. Like, no, that's not the case.
Let's be clear on one thing. This doesn't change my mind about Jay as a defender. No, it doesn't. Because I've seen Jay as a defender. That's not the issue here. The issue is who else was doing this and how much were you cooking the books? Because y'all all were doing it. And now you done got me involved in this where now I got to start asking these questions that I don't want to ask.
I feel bad for the players that didn't get their stats cooked, honestly. I'm looking at...
Why you think Scottie Pippen said what he said about Jordan?
Yeah, I'm sure some of them steals, some of them rebounds, some of them assists. Yeah. But, hey, again, I know Scottie was dope. I know Scottie was versatile. I know he could get down. I know he could carry a team because I've seen him do it.
Right.
So it doesn't change my opinion. But like I said, you don't want to peel back that onion, chill.
It's ugly,
Get
man.
you start peeling back that onion, and it's gonna be you're gonna
It's gonna be
find
ugly.
something out.
It's gonna be
It,
in the words of my man Nas Escobar. Before you find what you're looking for, you get to crying. You always say what you gonna do if you catch me lying. Okay, okay. That's all I gotta say, Minor. I know where to find you at, brother.
yes, sir. Oh,
What up, D?
What's up, OG?
What's up, brother? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, when it comes to Jordan, it like we know what kind of like defender he is, so
Right.
it ain't. I always tell people it ain't like even though like it's a group of fans that's always gonna be like, well, I don't care, what the stats say, where's my eyes say, it's like it's always got to be a partial split, like. Numbers gotta mean something because at the end of the day, I gotta like your production still need to match what I see.
It has
Like,
to.
yeah, it still
It
need to
has.
match.
You can't tell me that yo this dude went 32, 12, and 8. But then I'm sitting there watching. I'm going, where the hell 12 rebounds go? Because I only saw 7.
Yeah,
Where them 8 assists go? Because I only count 5. Okay, what are we watching here?
yeah. That's what I say. It's always about the impact though. Like when we watch, we gonna be like, okay, I see why he's thought of this way. Like regardless of the step, like I
Right,
see why he's kind of thought of in this regard. But
right.
I really want to get on here because it's been a minute since I seen you, man, and like they put us through the slammer, man, and
Didn't they?
my guy, he a champ now. I got a
Crickets
champ.
around here. Crickets that I hear.
Yeah, I
It's
got a champ.
lot of crickets around here. It is. Lot of crickets that I hear. And the other goofy logic about, well, he didn't shoot it very well. Give me a break.
Yeah, I think personally, no disrespect to Jalen Brown. I think he still should have won the Finals MVP and the Conference Finals MVP.
Right.
Yeah. Though I said
Right.
to me, like his production is better, and he's the one getting like schemed for like the opposing team trying to take him out of the game.
Right.
Most of the time, what I was more impressed with is it playmaking, like the growth as a playmaker. Like him, I'm ready for him because I'm ready for him to. I want him to take that next step as a scorer. That's the one thing as a fan that I'm like, man, I need you to like right there. It ain't like how the younger people in our era they're like the bag talk and all that. It's just with him. It's just like shot selection. Like like game 5, he put his head down, went to the basket the whole game or a good portion of the game.
That's the game I was looking for, to be honest with you. Remember, you and I talked about this months ago where I said that my best player, you could get me a game. I need that game from you. Whether we're in the Eastern Conference semifinals or we're in the NBA Finals, where's that game that I need from you? That one game. And he gave it to me in game 5.
Yeah. And when you think about it in the playoff series, I think I heard somebody say, and I kind of agree with this, but I had felt this way before I heard it. Yeah, your best players, like if you got 2, it kind of depends on what your team, like your structure, your team is. If you got like a team with like 2 or 3 guys that's like top end guys, like stars. Your best players got to get you 2 games. One game. This one gonna be that one that everybody might not agree with. One of them, you should ride a home game. You should ride the momentum of your crowd, and the one more game, your role players should win you one. Like
they could get you one, yeah.
Like Grant Williams did in Game 7, 2022.
They could get you one. I've seen role players give you. I've seen role players give you big games. I've seen Udonis Haslem in 2006. He gave me 15 and 10 in that game 6.
You close out,
yeah. He gave me 15 and 10 in that game. That's huge. We ain't winning if we don't get that from him. We're not beating him. So, all right, Doug. I know where to find you at, brother.
All right.
Yep. What up, D?
Oh, gee, what's happening?
What's up, brother?
What's up with you?
What's up, brother?
Hey, man, let me ask you a couple questions real quick. I don't know, you probably answered it on the panel or whatever, but your biggest disappointment of this past season, whether it be player, team, what was your biggest disappointment of this season? Like just watching it unravel.
the Golden State Warriors were my biggest. I thought that they were going to be better than what they were,
Right.
but they turned out to be a team that it's time to move on. We holding on to something that's no longer there, and if y'all still holding on to this, you doing it all for eyes. You ain't doing it because you really serious about winning.
He's stupid as fuck.
You ain't doing it for no other reason except that right there, because you trying to keep eyes on you. That's it. They were my biggest. Hey, mama, how are you? My man talking right now. See my man talking.
You don't walk past it 2-3 times. I thought you saw it, but
yeah, my man talking right now. But anyway,
go ahead,
yeah, the Golden State Warriors, them and Memphis. I was because I had high hopes for Memphis. I thought Memphis was going to be a lot better. All them injuries wrecked them. All them injuries threw a monkey wrench in everything that they was trying to do. I think they come back this season. Next season, I think they're going to be much better.
Memphis, okay. And as far as the Celtics, you know what I'm saying, are they the first repeat of the decade? Do you see that happening? Repeat as champion?
To be honest with you, D, I'm not sure. And the reason why I'm not sure is because one, injuries are gonna play a huge factor in this. That's number one. Number two,
all right.
I got to see what these other teams are doing in terms of free agency, in terms of the draft, because we've had so much parity. Don't get me wrong. I think the Celtics are far and away the best team in the Eastern Conference. I feel like the Knicks are going to be back next year. I feel like Cleveland's going to be better.
I hope so.
Milwaukee fool's gold. I'm not on the fence about that until they show up that backcourt and until they show up them wings. You ain't getting me on that Milwaukee train. I'm out. I'm OUT out on them.
I just feel like with their roster, man, with the Celtics roster, like they the only team in the NBA I see that legit has 5 shot creators, and 5 all league type defenders on the court at one time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it is really nothing you can do with that. When your 5-man can shot create, your 4-man, your 3-man, you know what I'm saying, your off guard, your lead guard, like when they can all create for themselves.
Yep.
And that, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no answer for that. You know what I'm saying?
It makes your offense a lot less difficult to scheme. A lot.
Yeah, like
as a coach, I got all of these guys who are a lot more versatile than anybody else. I could play with this, and I could put a whole bunch of different things in this.
Right, like it's a lot more read and react as opposed to fist down or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever play they call, it's a lot more. You know what I'm saying? This way easy. And then if you, like I said, when you got 5 defenders, it make it that much more easier because they play in the transition a lot, turnovers. You know what I'm saying? They all rebound. Everybody on the Boston Celtics rebound in the starting lineup. They all rebound.
It's not the same as having to deal with scheming as a coach, making up schemes for Luka, because you don't have that kind of offensive power. Luka is such the ball dominant creator that the guys that he has playing off of him, they can't create their own shots like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Porzingis, and Derek White, and Drew Holiday. They can't create their own shot like that. So you got to scheme different for Luka. You got to put together a different game plan for him, as opposed to the Boston Celtics. I can do a whole bunch of other stuff. Like it's like going in the kitchen and these utensils you got, right. I can cook up with these, as opposed to I got a knife, I got a pan, and I got a couple of spatulas. Like I don't really have a lot to work with here. So
let me ask you this to piggyback off that real quick. Like let's take Luka for example. If he was on the team like the Celtics, do we look at him the same way? As you know what I'm saying, as like this do-it-all player when you got 4 other players around you that can not necessarily shot create to your level, but they don't need you to create offense. Do we look at Luka the same way? He got rebounder, he got defenders all around him. You know what I'm saying? Is he grabbing 10 rebounds a game when every position on the court with him, you know what I'm saying, is rebounding right with him? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. Like Luka is great.
I think it would screw his game up, to be honest with you, D. And the reason why I feel like it would screw his game up is because same thing like James. James so used to playing a certain way that when you put guys around him like that, when you put a bunch of dudes around you like that, it looks trickier. And the reason why is because, well, damn, I don't have to do as much. I don't have to rebound as much. I don't have to distribute as much. I don't have to score as much. That kind of takes away from, my superpowers, because that's who I am. That's what I'm about. Right. And because I don't have to do that, it's kind of like what happened with Jason Tatum this year. Like we got a whole bunch of we got a whole bunch of flack for Jason Tatum because the unit that he was on was so talented. He actually took a step back and became more of a distributor, rebound a little bit more, defended, and because of that, people wanted him to score more. I mean, damn, I averaged 30 a game last year. I'm on a team with better offensive players. I'm on a team with better scorers. I don't have to do that.
And I don't think like the position Jason Tatum is in, as far as like in the eyes of the media and fans, it's like he could have averaged 30 this finals. I don't think he would have been looked at any other way than he is now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't. I think that's
no doubt.
But I don't think he need to worry about nothing like that though. They just need to keep balling. But
good to talk to you, D. You know where to find me at,
brother.
Yes, sir. Out. Mm-hmm. What up? Yo. I had him and then I didn't. Yo. All right. What up? What up?
What's going on, Joe? Let me know if you get me. I'm good.
What up, Tex? What up?
We good? Yo, what's the word? What's the word? I'm a little laggy, so I'm gonna make it quick. Don't worry. We had I'm glad that you came around with the JT conversation, because we remember in playback, you definitely said, I don't want to see this pedestrian stuff. I need one of those from you. So I'm glad that you kind of came around and said, you know what, it is what it is. I can appreciate the small details that I did see. Because I think we saw the things, the things in terms of the little things that we saw was definitely more of a benefit than if he had did the 30 points per game thing and he balled out and he had like amazing scoring performances. I think the small details that we did see in terms of the playmaking, right? In terms of not having your head down when you missed a couple of shots and being engaged and being all these things of showing of a mature player, I think he passed the test into that. And I think moving forward, this should be the mental shackles that kind of breaks away. You know what I mean? And maybe we might see the player that you see where it's going to manifest itself whenever he calls for it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
because
shout out to the Celtics. Shout out to how they handle their things.
I just feel like
I'm very curious.
I've seen what I've seen in the past. What I've seen in the past is I've seen guys when they win a championship, how much more confidence they have, and how much better they are just as overall players. I remember when the Lakers won it in 2000. After they won it, Shaq made it clear, yo, ain't nobody effing with me. None of these dudes. None of them. Right. Bryant made it clear, ain't nobody effing with us. Nobody.
I was a different guy. Yeah, that was a different guy for sure.
Nobody effing with us. None of y'all do.
You could see. It's funny that you say that, because I looked at old Shaq film in the Magic, and you could tell, especially the second time around with Jordan, you could tell like there was a pressing issue. There was this thing on your back where you could feel like, oh man, if I don't accomplish it, I could feel it getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And like you said, once that chip comes off the shoulder, now it's just we could do whatever we want. You know what I mean? So I definitely agree with that. Now the question I do have a question though in regards to the topic that you spoke about. In regards to the stat, the stat cooking, the cooking of the stats, right? The question I do want to ask to you is, as the sport was trying to grow itself, do you think that was one of the determining factors, or do you feel like the statisticians were working separately from what the league was pushing forward? Like, or should I frame the question in a better way?
No, I got it. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. We're trying to what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a business. In the process of us building a business, we got to look like we more than what we are. So
Right.
is this universe? Is this that? And that's why I said this opens up Pandora's box, because this whole thing, it wasn't just with Jay. Like, this was universal. Like, we got to make the league look a lot better. It can't just be, Jordan is doing work. Well, this league is built on our players that we're propping up, like Ewing, Lajuan, and Bird, and McKay, all of these guys, Stockton, Magic. So we got to make these guys look really good. Does that mean that they aren't? No, they're awesome. But I tell you what I'm gonna do, Tex, because I want you to come eat at my restaurant. I'm gonna make it look like I'm serving more people than I am. I'm gonna make it look like I'm cooking for more people than I really am.
Why would I not? It would behoove me not to do that, right?
Right.
Right.
I mean, that's
it will behoove me not to do that.
Right. It doesn't make sense for you not to do that, because that's how I'm gonna get other people to come in. I mean, if you don't have a girl, you trying to make yourself look like, yo, all the girls want me. You ain't just looking like, you just a regular. No, I want it to be known that, yo, I'm sought after.
But that, like you said, and in turn, what that ends up being is it can bite you towards the end, because as we start digging through the crates, and now the players that we're seeing, now what tends to happen is, I remember Vince McMahon said this. They interviewed him, and I believe it was in a large interview or large publication, and they asked him about wrestling being fake, and he said, "Well, at least I'm the only guy that's revealing that it's fake. Everybody else is not telling us." So he said, "Now I'm not relating it to basketball. I'm not relating to, but what ends up happening is, how much other things have you been hiding from us in terms of a collective, right? And the sports media complex that is supposed to be reporting, right, and doing journalism, quote unquote, right, on the thing that they're covering, how much were they in bed with it, right? Because in the same way that voters in the media can affect players' salary, right, how much are in bed are they with the NBA execs to put certain players in a certain box, right, to then take away money from them? Oh, I don't want to pay them. Because I remember they will say, oh, if an NBA exec can listen to the media, then they shouldn't be an NBA exec. True and false, because the media can dictate, and all NBA players, all defensive players, all the awards, and you can shift someone's career from being positive to negative in a drop of a dime. So it doesn't matter. Now, the last question I do have for you, and I'm gonna get out your head, my man, is what do you think about the JJ? Did you see the JJ press conference?
I didn't see the press conference.
Okay. So what's your thoughts? I'm curious. What's your thoughts?
I can tell you right now, JJ, from what I know about JJ Redick is not a patsy. JJ Redick is not he's not a patsy. JJ Redick is not a figurehead. JJ Redick is not with none of that. He's gonna say what's really going on. That's who he is. Now, he might have told us that he's out of the podcast business, and he can probably go right back into the booth. Sure. He's out of the podcast business. He's gonna go right back into the booth. Because for now, 100%. But with that being said, if you think that you're just gonna push JJ Redick over, nah. JJ Redick he's got a not necessarily a mean streak. I'm not saying that. A bit
of nastiness, though. A bit of nastiness, though. Nastiness, for sure.
Definitely has that, and he'll tell you if you suck.
For sure. And honestly, and the last comment I wanted to make on it was just due to the fact of I'm very, very curious. Does he go veteran heavy as for in terms of his coaching staff, or does he kind of mix it up? Because in my opinion, I think adding a guy like Rondo, adding a guy like Boogie would do wonders. Because in my opinion, Rondo being a point guard, right, opening his eyes to certain facilities in the offense, DeMarcus Cousins having the ear of Anthony Davis, I think that would do in the first, because honestly, his time span is is shorter compared to other people. So I think you have to put him around people that can relate to not only the players that are his peers, but the players that are going to be underneath him. So I think having a mix-up of having some ex-players rather than going the full route of just having a whole bunch of head coaches behind you, I think that's what you think. What about you? Do you think he should kind of go veteran coach, or do you think he should kind of mix in more of the younger guys, like, the Boogies, the Rondos, things of that nature.
Well, I've always been adamant that smart people hire people smarter than them. I've always felt like that. And Rondo is definitely a guy who you can pluck from the coaching tree, because I think Rondo is a very smart basketball player. He can have a bit of a temperament, but that's part of being a smart basketball player. That's part of it. So I think Rondo is one of those guys. Boogie, I don't know if Boogie has the temperament to be a coach, especially at this stage, because Boogie one of them dudes who still think he should be playing.
He's too close removed. Too close removed.
I don't think Boogie is one of those guys who I think that he could help you right now, because I think the way he got ousted from the league, there's still a bit of resentment from that, and because of that, I think that could affect his judgment. So I don't think he's. I'm not going to say smart enough, but I think JJ Redick could do better.
Okay.
It's kind of like,
what about JB Bickerstaff as assistant?
No, and the reason why I don't like JB Bickerstaff as an assistant, because JB Bickerstaff could actually have your job. I don't want somebody who could have my. There's a difference between somebody being smarter than me and somebody who can have my job.
Okay,
like you could be smarter than me, but I don't want your job.
Right?
No, I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that. But JB Bickerstaff is like Jason Kidd, where I could take his job. I don't want that on my staff. Hell no. That's like
I'll say this.
That's like having a dude around you who is the confidant. Turns out he wants your chick.
Yikes! Oh, I don't want
that dude.
First of all, I don't want to be that guy, and then I don't want to be. No. But I will say this, and I'm going to whisper this. I think the league wants another Pat Riley, but we'll leave that. We'll leave that. We'll leave another conversation for that, my brother. All right, my man. Always a pleasure. I love what you guys are doing with the channel, my man. Keep it up, brother.
Absolutely, brother. No doubt. Where you been at?
Man,
where you been at?
Look, man. I've been out in the cut. First of all, I only got like 5 minutes. It's my little one's birthday. I'm in the water park right now.
What you doing fucking with me, your little one, her birthday? What you doing?
I got 5 minutes.
Okay, hurry up. Let's go.
You see my hair wet? I just came out the water and everything.
Let's get back. Let's get to it. Hurry up.
But daddy dudes, but don't worry, SB will be back around. SB will be back around. SB had to be a dad for a while. You know, I'm a dad one every day, but I had to be super dad. But no, man. I haven't done my research yet, so I'm gonna wait till I do my research about this Jordan thing going on. Because I did make a little video on the TikTok, and I just wanted to put something in the air. Because in 1988, they was allegedly boosted. I'm gonna say allegedly because I didn't do my research yet. So allegedly boosted stats. So
they was
now
definitely cooking the books. Definitely, it was
cooking the books. So now that make me question Wilt Chamberlain books for sure.
Go.
Bill Russell books for sure. And I know everybody love Kareem. Kareem books too. Magic too. But now, because now when you open that Pandora, that's taken away from the integrity of the game, brother. And I said this because everybody got to keep the same energy too. Y'all Jordan fans did say this. If LeBron was on PEDs, he's cooked because that's cheating. Boosting the stats is the same thing, and I'm gonna say it straight up to you, OG. If this is true, when I do my research, LeBron will go. I'm changing it.
It's 100% true. I mean, not only is
I didn't do my research yet.
I'm gonna let you go do your homework, but it wasn't just the Chicago statistician who was cooking the books. It was encouraged. But you know what? I ain't gonna tell you nothing else about it. I'm gonna let you go do your homework, and I'm gonna let you find out about it.
But because we definitely had to chop it up about the Josh Giddey, and then we got to talk about the because me and you both have the same mindset to understand. Jaylen Brown played better, but it's still Tatum the best player on the team. But a lot of people can't understand what was truly going on. But Jaylen Brown, because some people was like, oh, but Tatum's stats are better. And I'm like, you don't understand the impact that he really had. Because what won Jaylen Brown the Finals MVP was Game 3 when he scored 24 points in the second half to go up 3-0. That game solidified. It no matter, Tatum would have to drop 50 and they would have to lose like 3 games or 2 games in a row or something. And they was like, oh, we needed to save it. Jaylen Brown sealed the series. So it was over. But I'm gonna do my research on it. We're gonna chop it up, but you don't have to come in and check in, which I know I've been out the loop. Everybody be like, wait, but I have to come show some love.
You know where to find me at. Get back with your baby. Get with me later, man. Later.
All right, brother.
Later. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I gotta shake the spot. It was good to see you guys tonight. I will be around soon. You know where to find me. If I'm not here, I'm on TikTok every morning, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. If I'm not there, I'm on a panel 11 to 2, and I'm here. And if I'm not here, I'm with my man Tony Tone on Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock, Fluent and Chill. I ain't hard to find. I'm not. I will see you guys soon. But until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. Last time you talk to your mother, call your mother. I'll see you guys soon. Until then, take it light, but take it. It was good to see you guys tonight.